Okay, we are back, and it is day 21 with no gambling. Um, I literally just recorded a 15-minute video, and for whatever reason, my crappy USB camera here, I don't know, the file was corrupted, something I had to unplug and plug it back in. Anyways, I think it's working now, so hopefully I don't have to retake it again. But yeah, day 21, and things are going well. Um, as always, I want to thank everybody in the comments, everybody who subscribed, who's dropped a message, who's joined the Discord. I reading all the comments. A lot of people commented on the last video. It had been a few days, maybe closer to a week since I had posted, so it was great to see lots of people commenting, saying, "Hey, I'm glad to see that you're still going strong." I was getting worried. There's somebody that said they were just about to, they were just about to go load up a website and place a bet, and then they saw my video and then they decided not to. And I can only say, man, like how amazing that makes me feel, to have some kind of an impact on a positive impact on you guys. And so here I am again. It's day 21. I know it's been about 5 days or 6 days since I posted last, but now the whole Christmas and New Year's is all over. We're back into the regular swing of things, so I'm going to try to upload more consistently again starting this week. But yeah, things have been good. I've been pretty busy with holiday family stuff, so that's kept me preoccupied. I also started a new job on the weekends instructing downhill ski racing. That was my sport growing up. That's what I competed in, downhill skiing, which is like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you think of Winter Olympics, and they got the event where it's on skis and they have to go down and they have to go around posts, either like big long turns around like double posts with flag, or quick turns around a single posts. So both of those is different forms of downhill ski racing, which is what I'm helping out with on the weekends, which is going to help me make a little bit more money, which obviously is going to be good, and also keep me busy. I get paid to ski, which is awesome because skiing is something that I love to do, but skiing is also very expensive. So to get paid to be there skiing is a pretty awesome, um, you know, privilege. So I'm very happy about that. I'm excited about that. Excited to have a little bit more money coming in, um, and start, really working towards stepping forward and getting out of the hole, moving forward into this new year. So there was one person that commented on my previous video, and he asked me to talk a little bit about like my plan to get out of debt. So I figured I would talk a little bit about that, right? So obviously you kind of have your different options of things that you can do if you're in a lot of debt and you're struggling to pay it down. So the most extreme option is like, file bankruptcy or do a consumer proposal, um, which obviously we would all rather not do that, because it's going to destroy your credit score. And one thing that I will say that I'm thankful for is, even though I have accumulated more debt than I would like, I have maintained a decent credit score, because I never miss payments. Even if I'm only making, the minimum payment, or a little bit more than that, I've never missed a payment, and I have a long credit history. And up until this gambling problem started, but I guess a year and a half ago, my credit was impeccable. I was like high 800s credit. So even though it has come down a lot because my utilization is way too high, just because of the fact that I've continued to always make payments on time, my credit is still decent. So that's why I have avoided any kind of like debt relief programs, or negotiating with the bank to get them to freeze the interest, because as far as I know, those options almost always um, pretty severely negatively impact your credit score. And how I have it right now, I'm it's manageable for me. Like, I'm able to make the payments every month, and I know that as long as I'm not actively pissing money away every day, when I'm gambling, then I should be able to actually, save and build up and get out, and start making bigger payments, and over time the interest will get less and I'll be able to pay it off. Um, One thing, I did do is, I have moved debt around for interest reduction purposes. So some things you can do if you have, again, this is contingent on having reasonably okay credit to be able to have flexibility and options. So, maybe not everybody's in this boat, but some things that you can do, for example, let's say you've been putting all your debt on your credit card, which is maybe, a 20% interest rate. Well, if you can open a line of credit, which has something closer to a 10% interest rate, and transfer the debt from the credit card to the line of credit. And then after you've done that, go ahead and reduce the limit on your credit card to, as little as possible, just so that you have enough, to use if you need it for actual expenses and purposes. And then at least, you're going to be paying half as much interest, right? But again, you need to have a decent enough credit to qualify for that LOC in order to do that. That's one option. There's another thing you can do, which is a balance transfer credit card. If you look up on your bank website, if you look for like a low interest credit card or bank transfer card, again, this will be a lot lesser quantity, maybe, but still, a couple $1,000 that you could transfer from a high interest. Again, let's say you have, just hypothetically, you got $10,000 of debt on a credit card that's 20%, and you apply and you get a balance transfer card. Basically, what this card does is gives you, let's say, a grace period of maybe a year, maybe 10 months of 0.1% interest. So basically, you're paying zero interest. Just all you have to do is pay like a little minimum payment of, like, let's say $10-15 a month, which goes towards the principal, and you're basically paying no interest on that balance until that grace period is over. So if you have 10 grand debt on a 20% credit card, and you can take two grand and move it to a balance transfer card, well, that's 2 grand that's not going to be contributing towards the 20% interest that you would be paying. So instead of paying 20% on 10K, you're now paying 20% on 8K. And every bit makes a difference, right? Because that has a snowball effect, and that 8K will now is charging you less interest, which means that your payments can go further, which will further reduce your interest. And hopefully by the time the 10 or 12-month grace period ends, you've been able to make significant progress on the higher debt, higher interest debt. And then when the grace period comes up, you can, let's just say, bring it back. But you're in a better position now to pay off that 2K that you had sitting aside and not accruing interest. So anyways, that's a couple options that I have taken advantage of, just to make sure I'm bringing down my interest payments, and making the debt more reasonable. So hopefully that's helpful for somebody. But yeah, aside from that, now we're heading into all the New Year's celebrations and stuff is over. It's Monday, first real Monday of non-holiday January now. So just trying to really focus on my business, my training business. New Year's is always a huge time in the gym and fitness industry because everybody wants their resolutions. Everybody's ready to get into shape. This is going to be my year, etc. So really going to try to push hard to gain new clients in this month and in February. Um, and yeah, and then I'm going to be busy on the weekends, with my second job. So I think these are both good things. Um, Another thing is my girlfriend and I have uh, quite a few different shows that we're watching together right now. A couple shows that we're watching that we have to watch on like a weekly basis when it comes out. And then we got an anime. I'm watching Bleach with her, so that's one that we can kind of like binge until we get bored of it. And then, so basically, what I'm saying is, we have a few different shows that we're watching together, which means that in my downtime, when I'm just relaxing at home and she's home, we have something to do. We're watching these shows together rather than like when I was actively gambling, there'd be a lot of nights where, I'd be here on the computer by myself and my girlfriend would be in the other room or watching TV or something by herself. And, it's my fault. I'm like reclusive because I'm hooked on this freaking slot or whatever I'm playing. And, she's like, how much longer you got? Like, do you want to watch something together? And I'd be like, just give me 10 minutes. That's not what I want to be doing. So just making sure that when I have downtime, I'm doing something, I'm spending time with her, I'm not just sitting on the computer by myself and creating that environment where maybe I'm going to be inclined to gamble. Um, and another thing, I mean, I've said it before and it's kind of funny, but Clash of Clans, I've still been playing Clash of Clans, um, which is just, a little something to give me that feeling of progression, give me that feeling of satisfaction, a little dopamine hit, and something to just kind of like check on my phone every now and then. That's always running in the background. Um, that's just distracting me from the urge to gamble. Because for me, a large um, factor in the reason why I gamble comes from a couple things. One of them is boredom, and with boredom comes anxiety, um, and then basically I get bored and anxious over the fact that I'm not doing anything in that moment, and I feel like I should be making money or like doing something productive. And so, well, what's the easiest access way to make money? Which obviously you're not going to, but when you're in that state, your brain is thinking about the wins. It's not thinking about the losses. It's saying, hey, maybe right now if we went and we loaded up some money, well, we could potentially get lucky and we could win a bunch of money, and it would solve a bunch of our problems, for the next bit. This is like the thought process that can easily creep up when you're just sitting there and you're doing nothing. Let's say, right? So my point is filling in that gap. The Clash of Clans is giving me something to like come back to check on periodically, that will distract me. So I'm not just sitting here doing nothing. I've always got something that I can kind of be checking or looking at. And obviously the goal is to be directing more effort into my business, directing more effort into other positive hobbies such as art, or, I mean, like I said, spending time with friends or family, that kind of thing. But, it's not always going to be like that. And there are going to be times where you're bored and you have nothing to do, and you're by yourself, and that's when you need something else to focus on. And my other problem, not with gambling but with video games, is that typically the video games that I gravitate towards are like competitive shooters where you're investing a lot of time, and I'm a sweat, so I can't just like casually play a couple games of Call of Duty or like hop on and play a game of Fortnite. Like, no. I need to be good. I need to grind. I need to be better than you. Like, it's just in my nature when I play shooters. I don't just play, I have to do 30 minutes of warm up, then I have to do a casual game, and then I got to do a death match, and then I got to do the aim labs, and then I'm ready to go play a ranked game. And each ranked game takes 45 minutes. Like, right? And so you're now dedicating 4 or 5 hours of time in a day towards a video game that's giving you no real life benefit. So the nice thing about Clash of Clans is that you literally can't. I cannot do that because there's timers and stuff. You're updating your thing and you have to wait 8 hours before it's done. And in that time, there's only so much you can do, right? So it's giving me that, it's scratching that itch without being consuming and without negatively impacting me in ways that other video games do. So if you can find something like that, like a little task, a little game that runs in the side, to just give you a little bit of satisfaction and dopamine when you're kind of craving it from the gambling, it's been helpful for me. And last but not least, guys, the Discord server is going strong. Again, I've got a great moderator in there. She's helping keep the space safe and controlled. So, if you feel like you want to talk, maybe you're feeling, you've got a problem, you're pent up, you can't talk to your parents, you can't talk to your significant other or friends in person because it's really tough to talk about this stuff. It's embarrassing. You can come onto the Discord server, find somebody, share your story, maybe find a sponsor or a friend to keep you accountable. I got other channels in there as well just for talking about our hobbies and interests and non-gambling related stuff. So I'll drop that invite link in the description and the comments as always. But yeah, a little bit of a longer video here. Again, please let me know what you want me to talk about, specific topics you want me to address, stories. If you want to share your story, you want me to read it and tell people about it instead of you saying it, if that's easier, let me know. Okay, drop a comment, just because I don't want the videos to be monotonous if I start posting more frequently, which is the goal. So drop a comment, let me know, subscribe, follow along, and let's keep this going. Day 21, and we're going to take it to day 22. Let's go, guys.